Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first and inaugural episode of the Outlands Podcast. I'm your host, Chrono, and I'm joined with the talented and overall just goat of the Apex scene, my co-host Minus Tempo, and he's to my right. And our special guest for the first episode today, PvP. How are you guys both doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Good. Yeah.
Awesome.
This is going to be fun.
I think it is. And we are going to be touching on everything Apex competitive related. So we're going to be talking about work ethic of the players, just overall results of things that have happened recently, and we might be roasting some people. There might be a little bit of that. But to get started, I wanted to touch on PvP as he's our guest and kind of get the 60-second spiel of like who you are as a person and like who you are as like a streamer, and like if someone came into the chat and like asked you like who are you, like what would you tell them?
All right. So basically, I guess I'll start. I was in college. Towards my senior year, I got really good at a game called Overwatch. And I had some friends that were like, "Can you stream? I want to watch like while I'm in class or whatever." So I was like, "Whatever, why not?" But I used the console app to stream on that, and I decided to upload a video online of a character I played called Junkrat because I was really high rank, and I made a video of like a guide, and it kind of went viral. It got like 50,000 views, but like a first time video, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
So
pretty good.
that kind of kick-started my stream, and I eventually just became a well-known ranker in that game. And I knew I wanted to go pro in a game eventually, so I swapped to mouse and keyboard, started practicing that. Eventually, when Blackout came out, which is the Call of Duty Battle Royale, I really liked Battle Royale, but I didn't like Fortnite, and I didn't like, what was the other one? H1Z1. I didn't like any of the current Battle Royales.
PUBG.
So I started competing in Blackout. I was actually going to potentially sign to Cloud9 in that game, and that game died. It was funny because when that died, Apex released immediately.
Yeah.
I went into Apex competing, signed to C9 as a pro player, played pro for about a year. The scene kind of went stagnant for a while, and I wasn't really having fun. So I stepped away from the pro scene, started streaming, and wanted to get back into the pro scene. And I was like, I'll do coaching. So then I eventually found a team, had C9 pick them up, and I jumped in as a coach. And that's where I'm at today.
And that's something I actually wanted to touch on is you were a pretty inaugural, like a big part of getting Zach and the team into C9. Is that what I'm getting?
Yeah, because my situation, basically I was competing with C9. I eventually stopped, but then I started playing with two free agents, and I qualified for the first ALGS LAN that eventually got canceled because of coronavirus. And after that, I went to Valorant for a bit because the Apex kind of died down, and then I came back. And C9 hit me up, and they're like, "We want to pick up a team." I wasn't looking to compete myself. I didn't really want to, but I really want to get into coaching because I had been practicing coaching for a bit, and I was like, "You guys should sign this team." And it ended up being a really big success because we worked really well together. And our biggest accomplishment was getting second in ALGS champs.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, originally I have been following you for a while, and we had I think our first interaction together was I think you asked either I asked you about editing or you asked me about it at some point, and that was the only ever Twitter interaction we've ever had together. And I think it didn't end up working out, but then like obviously we've crossed paths ever since, and it's
I used to edit all my own videos for like a year and a half, and then eventually I was like, it's just too much because I stream so much, and it's just like so mentally taxing. So I got someone to edit for me for a long time now.
Yeah. Well, no, content is something that Tempo and I have been kind of getting on the Apex scene, and some of the pros we've been talking to, just kind of digging at them to kind of start. Because like once this game dies, you're kind of just like, if you haven't like built your own self up, then you're just kind of shit out of luck.
100%. Yeah, and one of the crazy things about content in general, or even pro play, is that it's really, really difficult to go from one game successfully to another game successfully. So I'm pretty proud of myself. I've done it 4 times now. I went from Overwatch to Blackout to Apex and Valorant, and then back to Apex. So it's really, really difficult to like transfer games and hold an audience doing it.
Yeah. What was the thing that you didn't like about Valorant?
So I actually loved Valorant a lot, and I was actually coaching in that game. Not a lot of people know that, but I was coaching a team trying to get into the pro scene as a coach.
Hmm.
And two of the players I was coaching are actually signed to tier one orgs right now. They still compete in the pro scene today.
Who are they?
But what are the names? One is Alexander, and the other is I can't recall his second name. It's been so long. But
Hmm.
one was Alexander. They signed to one was on Evil Geniuses, and one was on I can't remember the other org. But anyways, the reason I stepped away from Valorant is not because of the pro scene. I actually love scrimming in that game and stuff.
Hmm.
I just got so bored of streaming ranked. Like nothing competes against Apex's casual environment, kind of just streaming the game in general and
Yeah,
playing
for sure.
ranked. Because that was the majority of my income is from streaming. It's not
Yeah.
from pro play. It was at least back then. Now it is for Apex for pro play. But
Hmm.
I just was bored out of my mind streaming that game. Like I think it's a great game competitively, but playing that ranked 8 hours a day in Valorant, I was just like, I don't know, it just wasn't unique enough for me personally.
Yeah.
The battle royale.
Well, no, and I think Snipes even gone into that a little bit, where he went over to Halo, and he's seeing that like the ranked
Mhm.
grind in that game is not
Yeah.
great for like viewers and
It's just
stuff.
like
It's not a
battle
streaming game.
royale. There's so many things in battle royale of like different scenarios that happen. Whereas in like arena games or tactical shooters, it's just repeat. It's so repeatable. Like same thing over and over
Well,
and over and over.
that and like you have to pay attention to the game like
24/7,
24/7 when
yeah.
you're playing, right?
Yeah,
Like where at
100%,
least Apex
yeah.
has like that looting phase and like
Downtime, yes, yeah.
yeah, and then that's when you can interact with your chat, and that's like
Yep.
what obviously grows your channel as well.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. You can do more fun things in Apex too. You can kind of fuck around a lot. Whereas in like tactical shooters, it's not really you don't really do
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, realistically, like now, that's another thing that I have been talking to a few people about is like now that they have private codes, it's not that the private codes are locked so that they can like they are not allowed to invite like randoms. Like they can still bring in people and do a lot of content with that. And I think that's something that people
Well,
are missing out on, in my
I'm not
opinion.
really sure about that one. When we were given private codes, we actually were told that we weren't allowed to use it for content. We were told we were only allowed to use it for personal use for like coaching
Yeah.
or like practice and stuff like that. So
Oh wait, really?
It's been a,
yeah,
it's been a little weird because like Minus and I were under the impression that it was like different, but
maybe
maybe
it's
not.
changed, but I remember
Yeah.
when I first got codes, I was strictly told that I'm not allowed to use it for content. Like I'm not allowed to stream with it. Sometimes people do it anyways, but I think most of the time when you get private codes through EA, you have to get permission and you have to give them the reason why you're doing
Yeah.
something. So
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I've seen people play.
We've been doing
like,
3v3 bubble fights a lot.
arena like matches against another pro team or like
yeah, I think that
bubble
goes
fights
under
and
like
things like
practice
that.
use though, much less
Mhm.
content.
I definitely
Yeah,
have.
'cause the only thing I was aware of was that when a team receives the admin code, they can't give that admin code to anyone else outside of those three players, but the public code can be given out. But maybe I'm mistaken on that.
The player
I
code?
would, yeah.
Well, yeah,
I would
obviously you
definitely
can't-
have to double check.
You can't leak the admin code. That makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
but I mean, the player code is definitely something that, like, obviously, if the lobby isn't open, then like you can't really.
yeah. Maybe
use
they've
it.
relaxed their rules a little
Maybe,
bit, but I
yeah.
definitely remember like reading that I wasn't allowed to use it for content and stuff. So I wasn't allowed to do like a custom lobby with my viewers.
Yeah,
and
your
stuff,
chat
but
and stuff. Yeah.
I see people
will-
do stuff like that, so I don't know. Maybe they've laxed on the rules a bit.
I mean, they can't watch everybody, so I mean, it wouldn't
Yeah.
be as
I think
like
they just
crazy.
don't care to enforce it.
No.
I think it was the whole aspect of like, hey, we're giving you private codes that not everyone has access to. So
Yeah.
you making money off of it isn't fair.
Yeah.
So that it might be because of that rule. I actually want to touch base with Killinger on that and get her opinion and see what
Yeah.
see what
I
the
mean,
actual ruling is.
regardless, it doesn't prevent people from practicing or doing scrims or whatever. Like people do 3v3 bubble fights, stuff like that. So
I think the funny thing is what provoked that to get sped up was what Minus and I kind of forced a little bit, because we got called out by Sweet a little while ago. And for people that are watching and listening, they might not know that, but we got called out by Sweet, and he thought that we were feeding information to our respective teams. Mine
Oh no,
being,
he didn't
I think he
say
more so
that.
applied.
He
It was a
said that
possibility.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, like the
Obviously,
possibility.
yeah.
He knew we weren't doing it, but because of that possibility,
Yeah.
that's why that was brought up. And I think like had he not brought that up, I think we'd be in a position where teams still wouldn't have their own private
Yeah.
codes.
It was
But I
such a
think
good thing that
he was
brought up,
actually the
honestly.
one
Yeah.
that kind of brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thankful that we have you guys in the scene that helps so much, and like Tempo is like making schedules and shit that helps us so much, and like you guys help a lot. So I appreciate both you guys, and it was a really good outcome that ended up happening from Sweet complaining about that. 'cause,
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah.
100%.
custom codes are really needed.
Mhm.
for
And I don't know
practice.
how much do you guys like? Would you say you use them? Like, is it
Yeah,
like
we're
daily
doing
or
some
like?
C9
Okay,
information
I don't
here.
want to. I don't want to like encrypt their like practicing schedule and stuff.
Austin,
But
are you
like,
private server practicing.
During the off season, never.
Yeah.
But when ALGS was going on, and like currently, because ALGS was supposed to start this past weekend, I was
Mhm.
using it probably every day. I was doing a lot of different things. I was having my team set up like actual practice sessions
Mhm.
where we would go in and either talk about like our loot pattern or like different spots to play. Just like endless things that you could talk about, like
All the
beacon
oop
spawn rates, stuff.
spots.
Yeah.
there's-
Well, especially for Storm Point coming in, I feel like that's been kind of a big thing where like people are like, "Oh my gosh, we need to
Yeah.
practice now, get in and
Yeah.
find all the rat spots and all that stuff." I definitely know that
Wow.
Tech does that a lot.
Yeah, so like map wise, Storm Point is really needed for me to go in there and check out the map.
Mhm.
Because, World's Edge is really old. It's discovered. A lot of the stuff I did in World's Edge was find out Valk rotations.
Yeah.
And I found a few really good Valk rotations that we actually implemented in our tournaments that have led to huge games. So
That's awesome.
that was one big thing that custom
Yeah,
codes allowed us
see,
to do.
other orgs should take note on what PvP does, and
Well,
that's why Zach says a coach is very useful.
Of course,
even though a
and,
lot of
like,
orgs don't.
Yeah.
it's really you and Hodsick, Sea Lion, and that's all the only three that I can think of that are actually like.
Yeah, I think Bronzy's more of like a manager.
Yeah, he is
technically, for
definitely.
pros.
Yeah,
He might do a little coaching, but I'm not sure.
I don't think very much. No,
No,
it's
he can. I just
yo,
don't know if
no,
that's,
of
like,
course
what he
he's
does.
definitely capable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
There's not many.
we might as well move on to talking about why we haven't been scrimming and practicing lately. I think that's definitely something that we were always talking about in the Discord, at least,
Yeah.
and it's just something that like, what do we need to do to get this to work? Like,
Shit, I don't even know, dude.
It's-
honestly,
I remember when I used to
it's
compete. Like it was difficult to get people to play. I was always showing up, and I would get so pissed at my
Of
teammates
course.
when they didn't play.
yeah,
Oh my god, dude! I had one of my teammates. I'm not like trying to call people out, but he got a puppy when he was on my team, and like that was something that was used as an excuse to like never play the game. He would still show up for scrims.
Zach got
but,
a
like,
new dog.
yeah.
Yeah, Zach's dog is like attacking him while he's playing.
Mac got a
Matt got a cat. Like,
Yeah.
you got to start cracking down on the boys a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like there's always reasons to things. I feel like
course.
the reasons aren't as transparent. I'm actually thankful for Tech for calling people out.
Of course, like he needs to.
I think that in the nature of it is that Battle Royale has 20 teams per lobby. It's a lot different than playing Halo and getting
Yeah.
team versus team.
Exactly.
So it's scheduling and aligning things is infinitely more difficult. And I think what happens is there's a huge snowball effect that leads into practices falling apart. Whereas, TSM's not playing, NRG's they're doing content for today. So there goes two of the most well-known teams, and
Yeah.
then someone else is like, oh, my schedule's off, so I'm not going to reset it just for this crap.
Yeah, I'm gonna sleep or something like that.
And then
Yeah.
you're down to 17 teams, and then it's just like the other two are like, whatever, I'm just not going to play because it's going to be dumb.
But yeah, if you have like
Usually-
someone like an ESA or something like that, where they see that the rest of them aren't playing, or like an SSG, they're just not gonna
Mhm.
play.
I think my personal take, which might be wrong, I think it would actually be funny if they reduced Pro League from 40 teams to 30. I feel like more people would scrim because they would think that scrim is higher quality more often.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's definitely-
Yeah.
That was the topic that I wanted to touch on, because we've kind of been pulling together, like, from that finals lobby of Challenger Circuit, we've just been slowly going up the list farther and farther. until we found this last team. I don't know if we've replaced a team for LM yet, but
It's pretty insane. You should
it's
say the number of how many teams have moved
I think
into
it's
Pro League.
8 or 9
Okay,
now.
I think it might be 13 or something now. 10, I thought
what?
you were supposed to say something.
Yeah, so 8 from originally the plan is 32 from the previous split continue, and then 8 come in from Challenger Circuit, right? But originally 8 came in, and then a team or
A few requalled
32
and
team
stuff, yeah.
disbanded, got banned.
Yeah, Dab was one of them.
Apex,
Yeah.
and then it went from 8 Challenger Circuit teams to now it's 13 or 14 with LM disbanding recently as well. So
Yep. It's probably not done yet, honestly.
No.
Because they didn't they just reopen rosters? Because
Yeah,
they did.
that just the other day they opened it. That's crazy.
It's
so like I mean, if you round it, it's like 25 of the teams are originals and 15 just came out from Challenger Circuit. Yeah,
like
a lot of people.
What I feel like they need to draw the line somewhere, because there's a lot of teams that are like, a lot of players get gypped out and they don't get like another spot, and they don't find a team. Like, if they're good enough to be in the Pro League, like a team like or a person like Joey Blackout or something like that who gets dropped from a roster, he can't go and find a team of like, I have a like free agent list in the Discord, and like he can't go to the list of those people like Hambino or someone like that and go, I want to team with you guys. Let's pick it up and let's go into Pro League, because we know we're good enough to be in the Pro League, but Pro League just doesn't let that happen.
The reason they can't do that is because then it becomes like a little gatekeepy, right? And it's like the top pros play with the top.
But it's supposed to be a pro league.
Yeah, but then like the up and comers don't get a chance to get in, kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, my take
obviously,
is
that,
I don't like that they even combine like Pro League plus challengers too much like that. It's I understand they want to keep it open and let people get bumped up into the league, but I feel like every other league in esports is, you don't just get a free pass into Pro League, you get invited to Pro League because
I'm thinking like League of Legends, right? Where they have,
of course,
academy teams, and they're like two completely separate.
And what's crazy to me is that in other games, I'm not going to say it's like more skillful to earn your way in, but in Battle Royale, there's a lot more RNG.
Oh, of course.
The way that the invites work to Pro League is it's like one tournament, and who knows what's going to happen in that one day.
Yeah.
Like, it's mind blowing.
It's very RNG.
I remember one of the pros tweeting like earlier today that he's like, the Pro League really only has 7 pro teams or something.
No, that was Zach. Zach yesterday in the Discord. He said, he's like, there's only really 7 to 9 teams that are like actually pro teams.
There's definitely like 5 different layers of skill brackets in my opinion.
Definitely.
I'm not going to call people out specifically.
No, I don't either.
There's an insane
and they're all meshed into one league now.
Yeah. I feel like there should be an upper league and a lower league, and then maybe they could figure out how to like.
Well, the 20 and the 4, like the between 20 and 40, I think there should be like
I think that's what their original intent was with the Challenger Circuit, right? The Challenger Circuit was supposed to be your lower league. I mean, execution definitely could use some adjusting.
But the issue with that is there's 40 teams in the upper league, which is
exactly
Pro League, so I would like to see them start with 30, do like 3 groups of 10, and then do interchangeable competitions.
Some teams might have an off week or something like that. I think someone said that, or
I posted that.
It's there's definitely way too many.
They can maybe even move it down to 20, but the problem with 20 is if one of the teams falls apart, then you're permanently stuck at 19 every.
Then you bring one up. Then you bring one up. I think.
Yeah, but it might mess with scores.
Oh, yeah, I guess that too.
The problem with BR is that someone's decision in game affects the overall results. It affects other teams' scores, stuff like that.
For sure.
Because you're taking points away now.
Or gaining points. Like, because if you got their exact spot, that might not be as bad, but like that's just kind of giving them free points that they might not be able to get themselves.
I think regardless, 40 teams is too much.
Oh, of course.
Lower it, and they can talk about it internally and figure out on their end what they want to do.
Yeah, I agree, and that would definitely that would give the illusion that practice quality is increasing as well, and then more people would be inclined to join scrims
for sure.
on a more consistent basis.
It would give Pro League more importance. I don't think people really look at Pro League as like a pro league, personally.
No.
Like, yeah.
And that's a joke, man. Like,
That's my 2 cents on that one, I guess.
yeah. No, we should definitely move on from that, though.
Giving ALGS the benefit of the doubt, like, yeah, I agree. Like, they had to keep the number of teams in the format similar between Split 1 and Split 2.
Mhm.
So I understand that they couldn't change that kind of those like details, but like exactly what you said. I hope that for the next season of ALGS that they do end up
and I know
trimming it down.
Yeah, I don't remember where I read it or who said it, but someone at EA did say that they were discussing lowering the number of teams for the next season or whatever. So
for sure.
that is on the radar.
And then that kind of gives more importance to like, hey, there's a lot less teams. This is going to be a lot harder. You can't just make it and then decide to disband kind of thing.
You should get banned for doing that. Realistically, in my opinion.
Like I mentioned that
in
some cases, but then they were like, well, what if it's like a matter outside their control, right? You can't force people to play, and you can't give out punishments based on the reasoning, because then that's
subjective. Yeah, very subjective. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Yeah, you can't really do that fairly.
Yeah, that's something that like over time, I'm sure EA will figure it out, because this is their first pro league, and I think if we give them time, maybe a few years, then I think it'll feel like they're listening a little bit more. Definitely something that I've been hearing lately. But I'm not actually in the ALGS Discord, so I don't know if they've been talking about this, but they said that they were going to remove Kraber, but they aren't going to remove Kraber anymore. Like, I don't know. Am I missing something there?
That's a shit show.
It is a shit show.
The feedback that, how do I say this? Like, they're very receptive to feedback. They're always open to discussions through the ALGS Discord or privately. Anytime you want to talk to them about something, they'll listen to it. That's about the game itself or ALGS Pro League. There's just some things that like they have to like really discuss internally and make a executive decision on, and Kraber is one of those things. Obviously, every pro wants the Kraber gone, and that's a hot topic for them personally, because they know that the pros want it gone, and I think they know that it's not the most competitive integrity type weapon to have, but it's such a huge part of Apex, and I think that they're afraid of letting that go. So,
and I think it's something for the casuals too. Like, there's a sense of excitement when someone gets a Kraber, because like,
I mean, they have
one shot can change a fight.
They have actual Kraber montages on the
That's so cringe, bro.
Like, my take on that is like, we experienced it. It happened. It was in the league. What's maybe I don't think people are going to cry if you take it out. It's not going to be the end of the world. I don't think it's going to lower the quality of the ALGS viewing experience. Like, maybe people use Charge Sentinel more often now. You never fucking know. Like, I think, I don't know. Kraber is just, when you have so much money in play and you're already playing in a heavily
RNG game,
competitive game, let's just like lean to the side of getting rid of Kraber a little bit more, in my opinion.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. I think like we've gone long enough. We've been playing this game competitively for 3 years. Like, I think it's time.
What's crazy to me is that like, if you're not going to remove it, why has it not been nerfed? Like,
I think they were saying that though. Actually,
I talked about this with them so much. I was like, it hits 145 to the body, which is very easy to do when you're a pro player. That can't even be batteried at a full red armor. If you're end game, you can't even get full health with a battery. You have to pop a bat and a syringe that takes like
or a Phoenix
12 seconds.
Like that.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Like,
well, Phoenixes won't really be around by then.
And that's not even the core problem with it. It has like 12 shots, I believe, maybe more.
Yeah.
It can go through people at collaterals, so it can hit like 2-3 people at a time. And also the one shot aspect to the head is the biggest. That's the number one problem with Kraber, is that you could just get killed immediately. It's the passive value of Kraber being in play.
It's scary.
You can't even peek people, because you might just ruin your game.
Yep.
It's not even.
It's crazy impressive late game.
Yeah. Half the time it's not even about you taking the damage. It's about you not being able to peek because you can die. And
it's the pressure.
The passive value is enough. It's kind of like in Overwatch. That's how Brig was. Like, you can't do anything because they have Brig. like, okay, can't play my character. Let's just you go next, I guess.
Well, let's just wait it out, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
you might as well. No,
Yeah.
and something that I've been hearing lately is an idea to kind of nerf it would be to have a glean, like a white light.
Yes.
You know,
I was thinking
in other
that
games
or
they have that.
that or a laser. I really, you know how
Like,
Rampart Ultimate has a
Rampart,
laser?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That was one of the
that's a
things
good
I really
idea.
like.
hmm Maybe they'll listen. I don't think it'll be till next ALGS season, like after
Yeah.
champs. Like I don't think it's something that they change going into champs. Even if we have a LAN or not, like I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, ALGS decisions are more so on the back burner compared to how that'll affect the entire game as well. So
Yeah.
that's something they really have to consider.
Well, yeah, and it also has to get coded into the game, and that could take a little while too. So, and like bug
Just
fixes and
port
like
the Sheila code into the Kraber code. Easy peasy.
Yeah, just copy paste a picture of Kraber over top.
Yeah. There you go. You're good.
Well,
Let's
and
give,
that's
let's give Sheila Kraber for ultimate. How about that?
oh my gosh, that would be disgusting.
You still get your Kraber in the game,
Yeah,
and it's on a character no one plays, so there's a downside to it if you play it.
Dude, people would play the shit out of that character if that happened.
imagine that with the walls.
So many heirlooms. Oh my god.
Oh boy.
Yo, we're giving them ideas. We can't be doing this.
How to make money.
How to make money, 100%. No, definitely, and I think I just hope they just make some sort of decision, or at least give us a little bit of clarity on some of the issues that we have with the game. Like we're always telling them things, and like obviously some things get fixed, some things get missed.
The nice thing about Respawn is they're more like receptive and more communicative than every other company I've ever played with.
100%.
Like like when I played Blackout before Apex came in, we were trying to start a pro scene in that game, and we were like, "Can we get customs, please?" They gave us customs after like 4 months of waiting, and you can only have 12 people in the lobby.
Ew.
It was like a 60-person game or something. And they're like, they're pretty much just nailed in the coffin to the whole pro scene right there.
That's just a slap in the face to players, man.
Yeah, it's because they knew Warzone was coming out, so they're like, we're not going to support a pro scenes, but they didn't.
There's not even really a pro scene in that game.
Into it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I
guess we can move on. I'm rambling a little bit.
Yeah, we definitely are. I know that you are a avid Maggie enjoyer, and
so much fun, dude. The Mad Maggie.
how come you guys haven't brought that into the arsenal yet? Is that something that you're thinking of?
So if you watch a C9 scrim or tournament, you'll just hear me in the background saying Mad Maggie over and over and over. Drill it into their heads.
Drill it.
Actually, it'll work. So the way I see Mad Maggie is that I think she's the most underrated character in the game, personally, compared to like the value that people place her at right now. I don't think that she's should be 100% picked or possibly even picked at all right now. But she is. What was I gonna say? So she's a character I see that will be meta in the future with nerfs to the current legends that are meta. I think that she could be played, and I do want to see us test her a little bit. I'm trying to convince them to maybe try her in scrims or something, not on Stormpoint, because I think she won't work.
Yeah, I don't think she will.
But on World's Edge. And the reason I like Maggie a lot is because her uptime on her ultimate and tactical is really high pressure. And whenever you get damage openers, you can close the gap on those damage openers really, really easily. And it's not with Horizon, like if you don't have ultimate, like, there's not really much you could do other than, just throwing a lift or something. But if you get a damage opener with Maggie on your team, if they bub, you can throw your burn on it. You can throw it behind whatever rock they're healing at. You can use your ball as a stun and also use the speed to close gap really quickly. So I do think she's really underrated, personally.
I think she's good. Like the breach when I originally saw it, and the passive, like the Q, is something that I've been kind of thinking about. Is like when I first saw that pushing bubbles, I was like, if you shoot that at the bubble, like no one can play the bubble, or they have to play the back of it, and like
not completely true.
I don't know.
Outside on the other side.
Yeah, they can play on the back of it. They can play on the inside on the back of it or on the outside.
Yeah, because it doesn't go quite all the way through the bubble.
One of the biggest things though is when you knock someone or get big damagers, they'll be standing on your side of the bubble and start popping a bat. So you'll actually be able to put your tactical on them, which forces a bat cancel or a res cancel. which is really big.
Yeah,
So
that would be
we'll have
huge.
to reposition. Yeah.
I see it as a pre-nerfed seer type situation
Yeah,
where
kind of. Yeah.
everyone just queues at whoever is
Yeah.
down and just annoys the hell out of them because you're
But
also pink damage.
the nice thing is with Maggie Tactical versus Seer is that Maggie Tactical isn't something that you use to kill people. It's used to get people to move out of the spot they're at to get killed.
Yeah, it's like an Ash
if someone's
tether.
behind a rock, if someone's behind a rock with Seer Tactical, they're just going to restart their bat where they're at.
Mhm.
But if with Maggie Tactical, they have to move. They can't stay there. It's not going to work because
Yeah.
they're just going to die to the tactical. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I see it more as like an Ash tether a little bit because it kind of like forces them a little bit of panic. Even though Ash
Yeah.
tether is a little bit slower, it definitely
Yeah.
like if you're tethered and you don't like know
Yeah.
your next move really.
So one of the biggest things is her pressure for people who are in buildings or in small isolated areas. So with her ultimate, I don't think a lot of people know this, but you can actually throw it straight through doors, and you can stun people through doors. So like that's a huge thing.
Mhm.
Also a nice thing is that her panic ult situations are much more much more reactive. So if someone swings
Yeah.
a corner on you, you can actually just panic ult in their face, and it immediately stuns them. With Horizon,
Mhm.
you have to pull it out, throw it, and then there's an activation time, so it's not really
Yeah.
as effective immediately for those type of situations.
And that actually leads us right into one of the questions. The insight on the decision to have Zach on Horizon. That's something that the Reddit has asked me and to ask you, and I think not many teams are running her, so
Mhm.
it's that's kind of like the niche little thing that like if you're the only team to run something, I feel like that's something that's good, and I want to get your thoughts on
It's
how
heavily
you feel.
dependent on playstyle and drop spot. So we were a Octane Blood Gibby team
Mhm.
in ALGS Champs. That was what we thrived on. Eventually, they nerfed Octane and buffed other characters. We tried to test out Ashe. I personally was not a fan of Ashe. I don't think that it was effective as Octane, what he could offer.
Mhm.
So I convinced them to actually go Valk Blood Gibby because Valk was so dominant. I was like, we have to have a Valk. It's just like no
course.
brainer. Let's do it with Blood because I want to give them an option where they essentially don't ever get locked down into a position ever because you got the Valk for rotate. But I wanted them to test it because I wanted them to see if they could still fight with it because that was where we
Yeah.
get most of our points. We fight and we use blood
Of course.
for that. Eventually we're like, okay, this works really well. Valk Blood Gibby works really well. Would it work not using blood? So I was like, I want to pick a comp that we can use to fight, but also get utility in other areas. And I looked at all the
course.
characters. I was like, why don't we just play Horizon? Like, let's drop the wall hacks. We get the utility of Horizon Lift so we can play in different areas. You can take high ground quicker. And you have more fighting power with the ultimate as well. So you can just combo teams and kill them with ult. So it's a mixture of adding fighting power with the team with extra utility of what Horizon Lift can offer for the roster.
For sure.
Because with our playstyle, we get points through killing. So
Yeah, I definitely think you guys are one of the more aggressive teams, and it definitely ends up working out pretty well.
yeah,
And I think Horizon is definitely something that causes panic when you have Horizon alt thrown at your bubble. That like I've seen so many people just like completely fall apart. Like teams just fall apart when you get a
Yeah.
Horizon
so
alt thrown at you because you
one-
either have to deal with it or
yeah,
or
100%.
like
It's
you just
a
let it go.
resource burner in terms of different things, like a time burner, an ammo burner, a utility burner, so like you could
Mhm.
force bubbles with it. A lot of the times, people think that you pick Horizon to just win fights with the ultimate immediately. When a lot of times it doesn't need to be like that. You just use the ult to help you in the fight. It's not going to be like, oh, I got all of them. They're all cracked in my arc star. Like it doesn't, if you just throw it, it's enough pressure as is
Of course.
to help you just win the fight
Mhm.
with guns.
For sure.
Yep. And so I wanted to talk about why I didn't choose other characters that people were playing, and that's Ashe and Wraith
Mhm.
and maybe Crypto. Ashe and Wraith are good at fighting, but they're less explosive. They're more like slow, methodical, off angling, stuff like that. Caustic, in my opinion, is very good, but he's not like a great roaming character. Like, you
Mhm.
can't roam the map and get really good 3v3s like that with Caustic, because it doesn't give your team mobility as much either. And
Yeah.
Crypto is just like super inconsistent, to be honest. The cooldown's too long in Ultimate.
I definitely think his buff made him interesting. Like we thought he might be better, but he just kind of fell off. I don't think
Yeah,
anybody thought that.
Well, I think crypto just has a really his ceiling,
The
like
ceiling's way too high.
it's something I
Too
can't
much
really
room
put
for
it.
error,
Yeah.
and errors are very punishing
Mhm.
in pro play.
For sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it's very drone dependent, and if you throw a drone straight at someone, like the new buff is like you can throw it out, but like
yeah,
someone can instantly kill it, and then you're just fucked. The character's
yeah,
useless after that.
Because then you
yeah.
can't ult and
Yeah.
I
everything.
played a lot of crypto. I'm
Of
kind of known as
course.
like not nowadays, but like I was known as like the crypto guy. I played a lot of crypto when he first came out in ranked
For
and stuff.
sure.
And the thing is with crypto is that his buff made so yeah, you could throw the drone, but that doesn't really apply to anything that he's really useful for. Because when you're going to be EMPing, you want to be flying the drone because the whole point is getting the EMP off successfully and
Yeah.
having it not get destroyed.
Yeah.
And you're not going to
Yeah.
throw your drone out passively mid fight and activate EMP. That's just going to get destroyed. It's not going to work.
Or your
I'm
like
right in
ability
front of
is
your face. Let me
Yeah.
toss out a drone
Yeah,
in between.
well,
both
you
of
have
us
to
and
you
explode
you
it.
even like
Yeah.
you're not able to use your gun while you're doing it, so it's like
Yeah.
you're a target to be shot. Because like if
Yeah,
someone
it's-
sees you hitting your wrist with the thing, they're just gonna shoot you
Yeah,
first. Because
it's
it's
just-
like
playing edge with crypto is just too inconsistent because
Of
if your
course.
drone gets destroyed, you're just useless anyways. The reason people play crypto now is for the beacon info on early rotates.
For sure.
That's one of the biggest reasons why he's used.
It's definitely something that like it can go both ways. Because I've seen a lot of people. It's easy to read a crypto team because like if they scan a beacon and they just Valcult next, you know you're fucked. Like if
Yeah.
if you see the crypto team leave, like
Mm-hmm.
it's
read
it's
off
just
other
it's
people's
just
plays,
super easy to read. Unless
Yeah.
they suck at zone calling, like
yeah.
you're just kind of like
Yeah.
giving free information out.
Overall, like that's why I really wanted to lean towards Horizon though, because it just gives us a lot more utility in what we can do, like in positions that we could play at.
Mhm.
One of the coolest things with Horizon is that if you don't have bubble up, you can use the lift to dodge Gibraltar ults.
Yeah, for sure.
And you can just play in different areas in general. Like if you want to play low ground, you can do that. With Bloodhound, you couldn't do that because your only movement was Valk. So
Mhm.
it gives us a micro movement utility tool. So
Yeah, for sure. We'll get into more of your coaching side because I want to kind of touch on that. Do you think you have really like a style when it comes to coaching, or is it just kind of like because I know the players that you have with you, they can get a little hot headed and argue a little bit sometimes. So like,
yeah.
how does it feel to like kind of be the mediator of that sometimes?
I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna say something that a lot of people probably won't agree with, but I am completely fine with them yelling at each other and releasing frustration because I've seen a lot of teams collapse and fall apart when they don't
When they
show their
bottle it up.
frustrations and they bottle it up, and then they lose faith in their teammates because they're just thinking in the back of the head like, oh, he did this wrong, he sucks, so he's done. It's just like obviously it could be bad when you have people yelling at each other and then it's toxic and you know teams can fall apart through those reasons as well, like 2B1C on my previous team I coached.
Yeah.
But the thing is with Mac and Al, or with Mac and Zach specifically, when they yell at each other, 5 minutes later they'll be friends again. They'll be fine. After
course.
scrims, they'll be playing games together. They're cool. They don't hold grudges. Like the reason they
You
yell at
can't.
each other is because they know that they're better than the result that was happened,
Yep.
and they want to figure out a solution, and they have more faith in their teammates, and they're
Mhm.
frustrated because they know that they're better than that, right?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of my idea on them yelling at each other, and honestly, it's kind of funny sometimes.
Yeah, it is.
Like, I let it happen. But,
Yeah.
I mean, if it gets too deep or too serious, like you know, it has happened before where like Al will like tell Zach to go walk outside or something, and he comes back and it's fine. But
Yeah.
you know, I keep an eye on it. I don't want it to be too like toxic or too
Yeah.
bad, but that's just my opinion on like yelling and frustration
Yeah.
releasing and stuff.
I kind of feel bad for Naughty sometimes because he kind of seems stuck in the middle of it a little bit.
I mean, yeah, he gets sick of it sometimes, but sometimes he gets pissed off too. But it's
Yeah.
just like we're human, and you need
course.
to coach to the style of your players. And you know, if that's how it is, then I'm not going to change their whole personality. Like it's just
You
not
can't.
gonna work. If I tell Zach to not yell and not release frustration, it's just not going to work. Like
No.
it's just the person he is.
They'll just
And
bottle it up.
as long as it doesn't lead into the next game or lead into the next day, then it is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? We're gonna work with it and we're gonna roll with that.
For sure. I think something to do with Reddit and what they've been asking is when it comes to LAN, Do you think you guys will switch up your comp, or do you guys pretty kind of set in
Mm,
stone on the horizon when it comes to comp or
If
LAN?
there's no meta changes right now going into LAN, I can't really answer that question because we don't know who's
Obviously,
going to
yeah.
LAN. A lot of the prep work I do for major tournaments is done very shortly before the tournament happens because that's when I have the most amount of info. I know which teams are in the tournament. I know where they're landing, which comps they're
For
playing.
sure.
So it helps me make those decisions. I would probably say no, we wouldn't swap comps because I think that's a very strong comp
It
for
is,
our
yeah.
drop spot, our play
For sure.
style. I've watched other regions a lot, so I do know a lot of the other teams and how they play. One of the biggest indicators that would get us to swap is if every other team happened to swap. Like if everyone was playing Edge, everyone was playing Horizon, then we'd probably swap comps and
For sure.
try something else. That's a big thing.
Something to counter.
Yeah, so one of the things I want to talk about is on Stormpoint. We land Command Center. I just convinced them to go launch site because I never wanted to go Command Center to begin with.
No.
I wanted
Yeah.
to go either Cascades or launch site or launch pad. My bad.
Mhm.
Launch pad is very flexible to the play style that we would want to play at whatever time we want to play it. We can play early rotate from launch pad. We can play edge from launch pad. So that's why we're going to be staying at that POI and we're not leaving.
Yeah.
Because I love the flexibility it offers.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, on World's Edge, Climatizer, we're kind of locked down to edge.
Yeah.
And Frag West was just so inconsistent for
loot.
like loot, and we did edge from Frag West and LGS champs, and we got second in that tournament.
Mhm.
But the how we had to play edge was so like ridiculous. Like we would have to like loot Frag West and then run opposite away from the zone and go craft in like Skyhook and then like take a balloon and fly across the map for like dome zones. So it's
Yeah.
just like kind of inconsistent when you're crossing rotation paths with other teams because your game could just end immediately. If you cross with a team, a fight gets started, then you get third partied. So
Yeah,
we
for sure.
preferred to get something that was a bit more consistent.
Yeah, Climatizer, you guys kind of hopped on that like right away, and I think that was something that was pretty smart. Because I think everybody like if you guys call a POI, unless you're SXG who tried to contest you guys aren't going to get contested. The same thing happened when you moved over to Launchpad. There was a contest between I don't know if SSG is going to contest you guys or not, but
Yeah.
100 Thieves and SSG were contesting you guys, and like
Yeah, there was actually 5 teams that
they
were
just fucked
contesting
off.
Launchpad.
Everybody just fucked off because
I
like
told Zach that I told the team that I was like, listen, if there was only one team there, and let's say it was TSM and they were there for like 4 months, it's going to be much harder to convince that one team to leave than when you announce that you're going to a POI. There's 5 teams, and you say you're jumping in on the mix. I was like, I bet you 4 of those teams are going to immediately leave.
they're gonna pussy
That's
out.
exactly what happened.
Of course.
That's exactly what happened. One
Yeah.
team stayed, we're going to fight them for it, and that's just how it's going to be. So
And
Yeah.
it's not even like they're not even in your group, so
yeah, they're in a different
Uh-huh.
group. So
yeah.
And I think that
only
plays to
find
your
them twice, yeah.
that plays to your guys' strengths, I think, a little bit. And definitely I think over time, like I'm sure SSG will just kind of go away. I don't think they'll be there
maybe.
for too
I don't
long.
know. I
I don't-
talked to them.
I
They
can't
said
see-
that they're
You
going to
never
be playing.
know.
What
They
They're
does
going to be playing
try to
Edge.
split
So
it.
I don't know. We'll see.
I just feel like they've always been a zone team. Like I don't
They
see
are,
SSG as an edge team. Like compared to other edge teams, like their fighting potential, like I definitely not to
Yeah,
call
but
SSG
if
out,
you're
but like
if you're also playing zone, you want decent loot when you're initially getting into zone, and Launchpad is one of those places where you're pretty much always guaranteed to have some good shit. Yeah.
I mean, they took. I think Frex told me they plan on playing Edge in Stormpoint. So
I mean,
I don't
yeah, it
know,
makes
we'll see what
sense.
happens from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be interesting because that's a team. I see them as like a little bit of a closet complexity. Like if I see complexity say that they're gonna start going edge, they're putting Mon on Gibby. By the way, I don't know if that's you guys have
noticed
seen
I
that.
saw them playing ranked.
It's
the other day.
like I don't. I mean, Shiny is the main IGL, so like he moves off of Gibby, he gets a little bit more free range. But like
yeah, it's
Mon on
definitely,
Gibby, like
definitely interesting.
it is
I mean,
definitely an interesting one. Yeah.
They're good enough to flex, but I don't know. It's just like not the identity that we've seen from them for the past 2 years. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
I think that was good. We'll see. We'll see how it goes
Yeah.
for sure. Um, we'll move on to someone like an ESA. How do you think they're so consistent with not having a coach, just kind of coming out of nowhere? I want to get your thoughts on ESA as a team. That's definitely
Um,
what people want to know.
I remember playing ranked with Dupe, and I my first thoughts of him was, wow, he's like really like slept on. Like he's really good.
Hmm.
Like he's a really sturdy Gibby. He doesn't really make mistakes. I don't think he's very flashy or like a
No,
carry, but he's just a sturdy player. And Skittle Cakes didn't never play with him, didn't know him. Obviously, he's done very well for himself. I think that in World's Edge, they found a drop spot and a play style that really supported what worked for their team chemistry. They had a controller fragger on their team. They had a sturdy Gibby and Skittle Cakes. You know, they just had good synergy between each other, and it works very well. I thought that if they got contested for mod, that they would start to struggle. They
hmm,
proved that they just kill everyone off drop,
of
and that didn't
course.
become a problem. And
Yeah,
then even going into Stormpoint, you know, it's a new map, new POI that they're landing at. They're destroying Sentinels off drop
they just know how to contest
at
early.
will.
They're a
Yeah,
contesting team.
I was gonna say like you know they've contested like constantly in
Yeah,
World's Edge, whereas Sentinels not so much. They've kind of had
no.
their POI for years, so maybe that might change depending on like how Sentinels adapts or if they leave or whatever.
Where do you think Sentinels
Um,
would go though? Like,
Probably cave. I think they'll probably just kick CLG out of cave
that
and
makes
just take
sense.
that from
Yeah.
them.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's really the only thing that you're like, you want that
Yeah.
god area, the god
Mhm.
cave in front
I
of
don't know
it.
why Sentinels doesn't just go to cave, to be
Yeah,
honest. Like, you don't really need
because they
her,
play edge.
but
They
yeah.
like
They're
they
gonna get a
play
vehicle.
hard
It's gonna be
edge.
they're gonna get 3 crafters, they're gonna
Of
get
course.
PvE spawns.
Yeah,
I don't know, but regardless, Esports Arena, I think that it's overall just their synergy playing with each other, and they did change out Verhulst for Noct, but I think both of those players are the exact same role.
exactly.
Exact, you know what I mean? They do the same exact thing. It's like they
Well, you
don't
even
talk
coached
that
him,
much.
so like you know how he
Yeah.
plays. Like,
Yeah, they're the same person. So it's really the dynamic duo between Duplex and Skittle Cakes,
for sure,
and they know what works for them. So I mean, if they just keep it up, then they'll be chilling.
for
I would
sure.
really like to see them get signed by
Me too.
an upper org. No hate to Esports Arena, but for how consistent they are, it would be nice to see them get signed by an upper org and then potentially look into getting their own coach. You know, eventually, I
Who
guess.
would you see to coach them though? Like
Mm,
because like
I
most
don't
of the
know.
ones that
I
I would
mean.
think to be like actual coaches are already taken.
I know one person that I've talked to that I could see being a tier one coach. I don't know if he's like said anything publicly, so I'm not gonna say his name.
Hmm.
But he could potentially. There's options, I guess.
Yep.
Um, they could probably find someone. I think that the thing is with coaching is that it's not so much. I mean, really, there's not a lot of options right now, but I think money is a big reason for that.
Yeah,
Players in general in Apex are kind of underpaid unless you're at the top. And can you just
for sure.
imagine like coaches are not going to get um, as much as the players
Yeah,
in most cases, and that's even in just the NA region. I
yeah.
remember when I was before I got signed as a coach at C9, I was actually looking at other regions because I could coach in any region,
Hmm.
and EU in general is just crazy underpaid. Like EU,
Yeah,
like I
for
remember
sure.
talking to a team and I was like, "You guys want to coach? I'm looking for this." And they're like, "You'd be getting paid more than us as players." And I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll
Oh,
just stay on
I'll
NA."
stay in NA.
Yeah, like
uh,
that's kind of nuts, dude. Like
yeah. I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
they kind of get the short end of the stick when it comes to like
Yeah,
everything.
the content attorneys and
For
everything. Yeah, it's
sure. Yeah.
unfortunate.
But
I'm
Well,
not.
actually, I guess on that note, especially with how receptive EA has been, as far as like trying to get more sponsors to host Apex events,
mhm.
and
Yep.
they essentially helped out with like the BFC is now happening as of next week. It'll be a weekly tournament. Like the Samsung event, first one obviously didn't go so well, but they like Samsung event, the OTK event, all of that stuff.
Mhm.
Um, I know that they are also looking to now like they're doing a lot of things like that in NA, but they are looking into like seeing if there's anyone in EU available
Hmm.
that is willing to do that kind of stuff. But like in my case, obviously I started off doing that all like all for free, right? I was just doing it so that I
Yeah,
could
for
build
sure.
a relationship with everyone. So I don't know if there's anyone in the EU that is willing to do that for like a year and so as like kind of volunteer work,
Yeah.
gain the trust of all the players and everything. But I know they are looking into EU, so they won't be left behind
Yeah.
for much longer, which
I mean,
is
at the very
a really
least,
good thing.
the very least, I don't know why they don't do mixed tournaments between the EU and NA. I mean, I know ping problem.
Ping is yeah.
garbage.
Yeah, but then like they don't do anything about region lock and ranked. They don't care about ranked. So like, I mean, it's for content tournaments.
Yeah.
Why does that really matter? Like, just
Oh no,
whatever.
I'm thinking more like the pro tournaments anyway.
Oh, pro tournaments. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I think the content tournaments, they actually don't region lock it.
No.
From what I
Other
recall,
than
like,
other than Twitch Rivals,
aside
like
from
Twitch Rivals,
aside from
is the
Twitch
only one.
Rivals.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like
Yeah.
to see like a content tournament where it's like NA versus EU brawl or something. That'd be kind of
Because
cool.
OTK, we had a few
10 and 10 would be perfect
Asian
for that.
player,
Yeah.
like out east players as well, like one or two or three. I can't remember exactly who, but it wasn't all just from NA region. So
that was the recent one,
region
right?
locked. Yeah,
The one where they flew them over?
50. Oh no.
That was the other one.
That was the other tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the nature of the problem is
that was a beautiful idea, by the way. Flying all those teams.
Is that like Twitch viewership is king, and all the big streamers are from NA.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like I've talked to tournament organizers before, and they were trying to figure out how to fund like future tournaments, and they were talking about like how can we secure these funds from these sponsors that we're talking to, and like it was all about trying to get as much viewership as possible, and there's just simply not as many big streamers that play pro. And
it's literally Shiv. Shiv is the only one that gets huge, massive viewers in EU. I can't think of anybody else. Maybe RPR and Mandy and them, but like that's really it.
Their team gets a decent
they get a decent amount now, which is good. I really think that they are very deserving of that, and that's something that hopefully in the future, more content can happen over there. And
I mean, talking way down the road, I really love Overwatch League system about how they have it franchised and they pay their players.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god!
The minimum base.
I hope we get franchising, man.
The minimum contract is $50K plus insurance plus housing, and
that's crazy.
Like, that's for the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that are getting 300 plus K. I mean, I remember the Sinatra thing when he was like 16 or 17. Yeah. They offered him 150K for a season. There's some players that are probably getting, they're making like very healthy amounts of money, but even 50K is more than what majority of the pro Apex players are making right now.
In a year.
Plus they get the benefits.
By the way.
Yeah, in a year. Yeah, exactly. So it would be nice to have a world where, Apex eventually somehow gets into some type of system like that.
Some sort of franchising, yeah.
You're guaranteed some income if you're in Pro League or something.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be really good to have, but
that's definitely a few years down the road. I definitely don't think that like.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't help that coronavirus kind of messed everything
exactly,
up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's definitely something that really sucks for our scene, and I definitely think like once we can get LANs back again, the hype for the game will, for sure, it'll be the top BR game once LANs happen again, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's already top BR game.
I think it is too. Yeah, for sure.
Even more. What's crazy, there's still so much more room for improvement in Apex. It's actually like ridiculous how much better the game could get for what it's already at.
Even the teams,
yeah,
the fact that we only have like 5 or 6 teams that are guaranteed that like you could say that they definitely could win on a given day. Like there definitely could be like 10 or 20 that like could like in the future if we get the development up there. I think definitely we would be able to do that.
Maybe I'll get back into pro play when the scene gets a little bit more sturdy.
Maybe. No, and I definitely I want to talk about Overwatch again because you mentioned it, and Overwatch 2, does that like ever cross your mind? Do you ever think that you could look back into that, or is
I'm not gonna say no, but I'm leaning towards staying on Apex, like for sure.
For sure.
I think my first initial reaction to comparing like Apex versus Overwatch is in the rank system. Apex, you get to pick your teammates. Overwatch, you don't. And I feel like in a competitive game online like that, whenever you're forced to play with randoms, it is just in the long run, it just never leads to like positive experience personally.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just
Something like a league too. Like if someone
yeah.
if someone plays league, like the solo
Yeah.
queue in that game is
There's
miserable.
there's not even voice chat in that game, right?
Nope.
Don't you have to type everything? I
Unless you're
can't
in a
even
pre-made
understand that
party,
concept.
if you're in a
Yeah.
pre-made party, you get into voice
Yeah.
chat, but
Wait,
like
don't you? I thought ranked had voice chat. Like you
not
could
no,
turn it
you have
on.
to be in a pre-made group, and you can only talk to if you're duo queuing, only the two of you can talk really. And I
Yeah.
thought
I
they
mean,
were gonna
whenever I
add that
talk,
originally.
Oh,
I mean, whenever I see League streamers, they're never in voice chat. It's always
No.
text. I've never played League, but like that's like a concept where I'm just like,
because
wow, I can't believe it's like that.
you don't want to say the stuff that you're typing because
For sure.
the stuff you're typing is what gets
Yeah.
you banned.
Yep.
I mean, at least you could just mute people, I guess. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
It's a very
but
toxic community, so it makes
yeah.
sense partially why they wouldn't
I
do it,
think
but
Overwatch, in my opinion, is one of the greatest games of all time. I fucking love that game. I think it's amazing. It just fell short to just lack of updates, and I think that led
Mhm.
to us like a crazy staleness in the game. And you know, there's just no way you could play a game that doesn't get updated for years and years and years. But when Overwatch 2 comes out, maybe I'll try it out and see how I like it. I
Mhm.
just know that I know the core flaws of the game,
Yeah.
and I think Apex in general is much more well managed and
For sure.
balanced in terms of just the play in general. And I think a
Mhm.
big reason for that is because in Overwatch, each character is heavily defined by its own abilities, and that's it. Whereas in Apex, characters are really the same, except for you have slight changes in ability use, but it's all down to the guns that you pick
Yep.
up for the majority of
Very
the time.
RNG, and where
Yeah,
it's
so
a little bit different in Overwatch, definitely.
yeah.
Let's move on. Something that a lot of people I've seen have been asking is about your frequent activity on Twitter. And
Yeah, I
that's
love
something
Twitter.
that you definitely, I know that you love,
Yeah,
and
I
you're
don't
always
get paid.
tweeting.
I make $0 from Twitter. Maybe it helps my
Liar.
social metrics,
Yeah,
but for like sponsorships and stuff.
yeah,
But you know,
for sure.
I just enjoy Twitter a lot.
Someone literally asked, "What are your Twitter impressions for this month?"
Last I checked, I think I had 16 million.
Wha-
This
Oh my
yeah, these
gosh!
which kind of blew my mind because like the months prior, I was like 6 million or something, like just like averaging out 6 million every month.
What did you
And
do this month differently, though?
oh man, I've been talking about everything: visual clutter, region lock, ALGS, Kraber, like
Yeah,
you name it, I bring it up and talk about
yeah,
it because like no one
I
else
love
does
it.
this. Everyone
So
else is
many
just like
conflicts.
Oh my
everyone
gosh!
complains, but no one like brings up actual discussions with like proof or
Yeah.
with solution concepts or
Because
Well,
in general, you can't. Like Twitter is like
Twitter's a shit show.
a
it,
less
it is.
dumb version of Reddit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of health to the game that I have helped bring to the game through just Twitter discussions in general.
That's
Um,
what people wanted to hear,
yeah, I mean,
for
behind the
sure.
scenes, I've had our private discussions with the balance people. I've talked to people who manage the cheaters. I've talked to people who
Yeah,
manage the servers. I've talked to like everything. Like I've
yeah.
talked to a lot of them. I've signed NDAs and talked to them about
Oh,
things, and you know,
Mhm.
like, I think
so
that overall, like, I know some of the devs might hate me and some get sick of it. I know a lot of them, I've had a dev tell me, like, stay who I am and keep doing what I'm doing. And
Really,
that,
it's awesome.
he thinks it's good what I do, like an
Mhm.
actual dev in the game.
Well,
And I
yeah.
know a lot of devs, like, they follow me on Twitter, you know, like some get annoyed, but I think overall the stuff that I bring up is just my genuine concern with the game.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to like bash the game, even though it
No.
looks like I really am. I'm just trying to find solutions to problems that I see, and I think that it's kind of necessary that we have people that do that to keep pushing the game forward.
yeah,
It,
and it's because of your love of the game and
yeah.
you want to see it like
Yes,
It's not like you're
continue to grow and stuff. So
it's
that's
not
why
like
you
you're
do it.
just constantly shit talking it. Like you're not actually
yeah,
it's not even hostile. It's something that like you just want to see it better than it is.
yeah. I mean, sometimes I vent, and sometimes I
You need
don't do
to.
things the best that I could do. But you know, it's just like it is what it is. Like, like if I want to like get something across, like you gotta get the impressions up, dude. You gotta get people talking.
That's why
If
Tech
you get
does it,
people talking,
man. He's
like
at
think
every
about
org for.
yeah, right.
Chief
Like
police scrim officer.
He's literally the
like
scrim officer for that reason.
think about if no one ever complained about muzzle flash, they would have never changed it. It never would
Nope.
happen, and you would be dealing with that today. But it got changed, and now we don't have to deal with that. Think about spawning with armors. If no one ever complained about that, you'd be still not spawning with an armor. Some dude would pick up a blue, and he'd have a 75 health advantage over you.
That's
There's a
crazy.
lot of changes that have come to the game that have made the game better because
For
people
sure.
raise awareness.
Well, no, that's something that I wanted to touch on too is things that they've added to the game that weren't like directly at the start of competitive, like the competitive meta. Like no one really touched crafters that much and saw
Mhm.
the benefit of it. But why do you think that changed like recently and like how edge meta? That's kind of how edge meta was born, I think.
Yeah. So when I used to compete, I was an early rotate team. I actually used to land Frag East, and then
Mhm.
Hal with TSM and Alb, they tried contesting me, and I was like, "Fuck off! Go land at those buildings over there, and I'll take these buildings." And we actually split the POI when I used to compete.
Really?
And yeah, we used to split the POI.
Was that when it was old?
It was old. Yeah, it was old. So
Like
he got
capital.
yeah, it was the old capital. I landed all of No Name, and I got uh the three buildings on the edge of Frag East, and he got the train station and the buildings next to it. And we were both early rotate teams. So that was the play style that I used to play.
Mhm.
And then when I jumped in with Zach, he was an edge play style. So that was kind of a new concept to me when I went into coaching, and I had to adapt and realize the
Mhm.
potential of that because I didn't think it was that good until I watched him, and I was like, wow, this is actually
Yeah.
kind of nuts. And crafters were new to the game when I returned to Apex, and I thought that
Yeah.
was an amazing addition to the game
I think
because
so too.
it reduces RNG in the game, and every change in Apex history that reduces RNG has been a good change in my opinion. So,
For sure.
yeah. But as of late, crafting stations. So I think red armors being added to the game, it added a new health total.
Yeah.
So you're able to get more value as an edge team over the early rotate teams because their ability
sure.
to acquire red armors is not as likely.
Mhm.
People realizing that you can like have your own custom loadouts, like having power weapons with in terms of like getting a flatline plus a purple mag is infinitely
sure.
stronger than having a flatline with no mag. So there's that. And on Stormpoint specifically, you'll see a lot of people crafting because getting materials on that map is really, really easy.
Really easy.
From the
for sure.
PvE spawns, and also the number of crafting stations and the way that you can get to them with vehicles
Mhm.
makes it way quicker. And also, they slightly lowered the cost of medkits so you can stay in red zone a bit longer as well.
Yeah. It's. I think it was a great change.
Hmm.
How do you feel about the flatline and the longbow being added though? I think that was something that was weird for me
I remember
because it was
when
originally they had gun loadouts, like
yeah,
originally in the crafter, and then they took them out.
I
They
remember one
decided
of
to
the
bring them
devs.
back.
I remember one of the devs telling me that they were going to try that, and I didn't know how to react. I didn't know if it was a good or a bad thing. I literally told him, I was like, I'm not sure. Like, I wish I could help you, but I really don't know if that's a good or bad idea.
Mhm.
And after experiencing it, it's very nice to see less flatlines in the game.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it is.
that gun, even after they nerfed it and put it in the crafter, it's still one of the top guns in the game. I think it's insane.
For sure.
And it's very nice to see a change of pace in the gun meta just because it's harder to acquire.
Mhm.
So it's definitely interesting that in pro play specifically, that only edge teams can really get it, not the early rotate teams. We'll see how that plays out when tournaments come around.
Yeah.
Longbow, I mean, no one even used longbow before they put it in the crafter.
They still really don't.
The early rotate teams would sometimes because they can use it to get picks and
Yeah.
build their armors, but they're not going to be able to get it because if they have a crafter, they're not going to make longbow. They're going to make
They make flatline.
batteries or whatever they need or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I feel like Wig is the only one that I would think of. Like when I think of longbow, that's like the
yeah.
only person
Yeah.
that I think would use it and like actually preach that it's a
Yeah.
good gun.
I mean, snipers are picked up by Gibraltar players a lot in pro play
For
because
sure.
it's a way for them to build armors for their team and get picks and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Gun shield is
But
broken.
people will just use charge rifle or rampage. They just use like different stuff.
Someone asked, Gibulous comp, do you think that's ever going to happen for you guys, or do you think Gibby is just too strong until he gets nerfed, you still use him to like?
He's the strongest. He's too OP, dude.
He's
Like,
too OP, man.
I mean, maybe I see people testing no Gibby comp in Stormpoint. I don't think it's going to be successful. Maybe one team will somehow do good doing that. I see in Europe, like Nasky's team, who's my old teammate, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Yeah.
But he plays. They were playing Wraith Crypto Caustic as an early rotate team, and that makes a lot of sense because they just hit Beacon with Crypto, they rotate to a building with Caustic, and then they have Wraith for flexibility for finding loot and getting picks. But when you're an edge team, you need Gibby. I mean, if anyone gets down, bubble res. If you need to take a spot or make a push, bubble. Like if you need to, like, Gibby ult itself is so strong. Like the fighting potential of that character is insane. Like he tanks like sometimes 1 or 2 extra shotgun shots just because he has gun shield and an upgraded armor. Like, you just can't argue the fact that character is just too strong. And yeah, that's not happening for me.
Is there we've heard and people talk about it all the time about the health of the Gibby bubble. Like, do you think they need to add the health bar to the Gibby bubble, or like what would the thing that you would see being the thing that changes him and like actually makes him not meta anymore?
If I was lead dev in Apex and I had full reins, I would actually just make Gibby smaller. I would rework his entire hitbox. I would take away gun shield, make him more like a normal character, and then I would change his bubble so it's much less permanent and also smaller. I don't think it should be like bub down or a whole team safe for 20 seconds. No one can get hit at all. I think it should be like a 2-person sizable cover type thing, like maybe shorter cooldown.
But then when you make the bubble, when you change the size of the bubble, all of a sudden that, like, because one of the devs that I talked to as well, they mentioned things like, oh, changing the size of the bubble doesn't only change the size of the bubble, but now that also changes, like, let's see, Mad Maggie's Q now all of a sudden goes through the entire bubble, right? It's like other skills and other items interactability with that change.
Then you nerf Maggie,
is
though.
what indirectly. I mean, but then, like, how do you stop that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not just Maggie's Q that's going to affect it as well, right? Like, there's going to be, obviously, I just can't think off the top of my head, but there's other abilities, other items that's
just the balance design problems that the game is always going to have, and you're always going to have to find solutions for it. But I think the current stage of Gibby is just too ridiculous to overlook, and it definitely needs to change.
The invincible bubble is
in the short term, though. Obviously, them doing the reworks and doing all this and all that is not going to happen. I do support them adding HP threshold to the bubble, and I was thinking that on how they should do it is probably only from gun damage. Maybe
no
not
abilities,
from like Gibby strikes, and not from nades, stuff like that. And I can't tell you the exact number that they should do that because that needs to be tested. But you know, something like, let's say like 1,000 HP or something. I don't know.
Man, if they only had a playtest server like League did.
Yeah, like a PvE. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even Overwatch has an experimental mode, and I've talked to the devs about it before. Is like, I don't know why they don't do like use experimental mode as like an LTM at least or something. That'd be kind of cool if they did that, but I don't know.
There's just
this LTM where Gibby Bubble now has HP.
Yeah, true. But they could even do like an event, like a 1 weekend event, like a 2-day feedback event. Like, we're gonna do this change to the game, and I don't know.
We'll see what you think or something like that.
That would get, like, obviously the game itself would be like super imbalanced in some ways, but in that sense, it would make it fun for even the casuals because it's all of a sudden like
you're testing something cool.
And it's only going to be here for a week or so, right?
Yeah. I mean, they could even do something cool like you can only pick the characters that were played in ALGS finals or something. So like you have to make comps based around, I don't know, it's like something just random ideas.
Crap, it's throwback week. Only the original characters are available.
I mean, I think they did that in Overwatch too. It was actually kind of cool.
Yeah. No, that's something.
I'm just taking ideas from other games of stuff that I like.
But and that's healthy. That's something that we should be doing. We see things that are good in other games. We should bring them to our devs and see if they think that might be something that we could see in the future for us. Modes like, I think a lot of people are wanting more LTMs, and Control was a huge success. a lot more than arenas was.
Control's coming back, right?
And
So
control,
that's
yeah,
fine.
control is also coming back, and I think they said the next collection event they'll bring it back. So
arenas was a huge flop.
it
and
was
I
a
think they were
huge flop.
I think they were afraid of releasing control and being like, oh, it's the new game mode, and then it ends up sucking, and then they're stuck with it, kind of like arenas. And I know
Just
that
abolish
there-
arenas, give us
yeah, I mean,
control forever.
there's people who like arenas and whatever, and it gives a new game mode for people to play.
It's
But
just a controller game mode though.
we can't lie and say arenas better than control. Control is definitely
Oh
better.
yeah,
For sure.
100%.
For sure.
I like control a lot. I haven't even done my placements in arenas ranked yet, and that released like how many seasons ago now?
Yeah.
Season 9, I think.
Yeah, something.
Well,
Something like that.
I think Arena is gonna end up being like KC.
I think
everyone hates it, but it'll still be there.
Arenas falls to the problems of how I see other games of staleness, because the gun meta is the same every single game, and the scenarios of gunfights that you run into are the same most games. The maps are really small, so you don't see a lot of different scenarios in terms of how it is in BR or control. Like the poke fest of lack of meds is like really not fun. Whereas control, it's a bigger map. There's more hop in, you're shooting, you can pick up different guns, but different characters, they help different ways. It's the best way to test the game mechanically if you want to improve.
Sure.
Just drop in and have fun. You don't have to really think.
Yeah.
No,
It's
not
a
at
really
all.
good warm up.
Yeah, it's a great warm up.
For sure. No, I definitely think that they hit the nail on the head on that one, and something that they should build on. And they have said that they will be making changes. I hope they take away the highlight around the player when you get shot. I think that was something that was a little bit of an oversight for them.
I personally like the highlight. I think it's very hard to see people in this game sometimes, especially with visual clutter.
Yeah.
I just don't like the fact that you can go around a corner and they have wall hacks on you. I don't understand why they did that.
Well,
And
isn't it like Maggie? Like Maggie came around the same time, and like that's basically the same as Maggie Tactical. So it's like,
yeah, and you don't even have to shoot them though. You just get wall hacks on people that you see, and I think your teammates, if your teammates see them, then you also get their vision. I could be wrong on that one, but
I'm not sure, but
it's very unreward. I don't know. I just don't like it. They just need to get rid of that. It's not good.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing that I would think of that would be something to change. I don't know if there's many, like obviously other maps that would be cool too.
I mean,
a Skull Town one would be so much fun, man. Holy crap!
Yeah. I mean, they're gonna get a lot of feedback from the casual community as well.
Overall, they're gonna listen to them before us. So
yeah, I mean, go for it, dude. Change the control however they want. I don't care. I'm more so focused on the competitive ranked environment and the changes that game needs for competitive players.
Yeah,
I mean, casual control, whatever it is, what it is, like do what you want.
It's a good warm up. That's really all that the pro players can use it for, and that's something that actually allows me to transition a little bit. Is we've kind of been talking about things that the devs have been bringing up. I saw the lead level designer tweet out today that is there anything that we would change currently about current World's Edge? Is there anything that you think on the map could be changed? I saw a few kind of talking about the no name in between Siphon and Frag, how that needs to change a little bit. Is there anything that you can think of that would need to be changed on World's Edge to make it just that much better?
I think the loot pool on a lot of the POIs is insanely unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dome and Geyser are both Edge POIs, and the loot is horrible.
Yeah.
Geyser doesn't even have a beacon, and like like I don't know, just like some of the balancing between the loot and different POIs is really very strange to me. It seems like the magic formula is the newer the POI is, the better the loot is.
Yeah,
and
of course.
The older it is, the worse it is.
Well, and you're even seeing that is like things like Climatizer coming in, things like Lava Siphon.
Yeah,
before that,
Climatizer without 3 purples. It's
of course.
Same with
Siphon. At Dome, you're doing backflips if you find a purple armor. It's crazy.
For sure. No, definitely. And I think you even see that with like staging and countdown. They've kind of lowered the loot quality of that, and that was the recent change before that. And like obviously Harvester was the other change that they made. So like you can just see the loot quality just kind of going down and down and down and down. So like there just has to be a little bit more, either maybe like even the TSM thing with Fragment, like
Yeah, they shadow nerfed.
they shadow
TSM.
nerfed them with, and they even
TSM still
said
won
it.
playoffs.
We don't want them to win. Still wins.
Yeah.
I mean, you want them to win, obviously, Minus, but
Oh yeah. Oh no, I was
Yeah.
saying from a EA's perspective.
Yeah, World's Edge in general, like it's a sturdy map.
It's a
I
sturdy
can't really
map,
think
yeah.
of any like
Yeah.
drastic changes they could do other than like change the loot. Another huge thing for me is the visual clutter on that map. Like when you shoot
With
snow, it creates fucking
God.
like crazy visual clutter, and
That's
it works for
insane.
everything in the game. Like the rocks, you'll get sand in your eyes, you can't see, and like
I'm
No,
blind.
It's supposed to be.
I'm
It's
blind.
supposed to be realistic. Okay, if you
Yeah.
shoot a gun,
It's
into
the
the
most
snow,
realistic,
snow proofs
unrealistic
up.
game ever.
when you're in dome, like it's just like red. Everything is red.
Yeah,
bro.
you
It's
can't
just
see
like,
anything in
holy
dome.
shit.
Like, because there's
So
so
red.
much like fog and smoke.
Yeah,
Like you
I
can't
got-
see from
I
one end to
got a-
dome to the other.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's
I
crazy.
I got a really good change then. Bring the color palette of Stormpoint or Olympus and apply that to World's Edge.
Olympus is such a clean looking map. That
It's
map
so
is
beautiful,
so
man.
bright and nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's just
great.
too
Well,
small.
Just port that color palette over, and then we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I think Olympus could adapt into the best competitive map. I think that Olympus has the most potential out of any of the maps.
Yep.
And I think I'm not like a lore guy, but I was told that Olympus, like the lore of it is that the map could actually be reworked and moved and built in any
Yeah,
way
it
they
is.
want.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
It's like hexagons that are attached to each
Yeah.
other or something.
Yeah.
So that concept alone from the casual side.
That's a beautiful
You can just
concept.
add POIs now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Olympus falls short in terms of the lack of cover in a lot of areas and the height elevations
sure.
in a lot of areas, and the POIs are a bit too close to each other.
Mhm.
And I think
Especially
another
with
big
cars.
and another massive flaw that people don't think about in Olympus is the structures of the buildings.
They're very
not
siegeable.
really- yeah, they're very siegeable and they're not really safe at all.
No.
Stormpoint really hit the nail on the head of being in between World's Edge and Olympus, because the buildings, they give you cover, but they are still siegeable. You know what I mean? So I like
Yeah.
Stormpoint buildings a lot.
Well, no,
They did a good job with
the
that.
only Stormpoint building that I would say is an issue is those white and yellow ones with the windows on every side. That's like
Oh,
the
yeah.
only thing where I'm like, I don't know if that's really
And
a good idea.
As a player, you can climb up onto the little edge and shoot into the window.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have adjustments that they'll have to make, but
I'm sure they
overall,
definitely
like,
will.
the concept of the building.
I think aside from the fact that ALGS didn't implement Stormpoint into like the ranked rotation, or they didn't bring it into like split 2 of last season or whatever. Aside from that mistake, I think them putting Stormpoint into like ALGS was a really good idea.
Great idea. Great idea. Definitely.
Yeah, but like let's say they did that in like 2 seasons in advance kind of thing, right? Then it would have given all the players 2 seasons to, hey, can we change the dropship height like up a couple 100 feet so that people in the north can reach their POI? Or hey, can you like, instead of making Stormpoint one gigantic mountain, can you like level it off kind of a little more so the height disparity isn't as
I feel like that is
crazy?
not as bad as I thought it would be, though. Like the height disparity isn't as bad because of the cover.
If you're literally trying to run up a 50-degree angle and someone's already up there, you're dead. That's why the map means you have to have a Valkyrie at this point.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. It heavily forces comps.
But
the plus side of that,
the problem.
we are seeing Bangalore being played more in Stormpoint. People
I like
are trying
that.
to find solutions. So.
No, it's not just Shiv being the Bangalore name.
Or is that because?
And people are genuinely playing Bangalore and Stormpoint just because of the cover that it can. The map is a lot bigger and it allows you to cross areas.
For sure.
Two smokes let you cross a lot.
Whereas
easier.
on World's Edge, it's like the map is so confined. You don't really need to like cross the places. You just need to take places and hold.
You just bubble.
Yeah, you don't really use ports or
you can literally just run across and you're fine.
There's a lot of cover as well on that map, with less height elevation differences. But I agree. I think the northeast portion of Stormpoint is the number one flaw on that map. with how tall it is. I think the next
Mhm.
biggest flaw is the like the water areas, like fish farms.
There's
There's
no
like
cover.
It's
there's like no
so
cover at all.
No.
Yeah.
Like you get out into the water and you're fucked. You're fucked
Yeah.
when you get there. So like, yeah.
Let
Other
me
than
just hide
cars,
behind this tiny rock that doesn't
Yeah.
protect my head, but you
Yeah.
know, that's all I've got.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Now we've been
They'll
talking.
change it though.
We've been talking about what we think the devs have been like, kind of thinking about and changing. Someone asked, why does it seem like pros and non-pros can't get along? And kind of like, there's kind of a little bit of a stigma with the Reddit and how everybody thinks we hate them in the competitive scene.
Like the
And-
Reddit competitive Apex subreddit.
Yeah, that one. And
Yeah.
even on Twitter, like I've seen people in chats say like, why are like people are kind of just being assholes about like everything to the casuals.
I mean, I don't really think of the Reddit competitive Apex as casuals too much. I think of like Reddit Apex Legends as more of casuals. I think of Reddit competitive Apex as more of like how do I say this, like competitive players who have good ideas but don't have the full understanding of
They don't get it yet.
they don't have the full understanding of the situation that they're talking about from
Yeah.
a lot of different angles. They kind of see it from only their perspective.
Yeah,
And pros can be like that too, don't get me wrong.
for sure.
But a lot of people they'll have like a beehive mentality of how they just see one thing, they say it, and then other people will just agree with that. And
Yeah.
I don't think pros really like to see that type of thing too
No.
much. But I don't know. I don't hate the subreddit. I don't think a lot of people hate pros, or else they wouldn't be on there. I think they're
for
just
sure.
passionate. They're passionate about the game, passionate about the scene as well. So
I think it goes both ways. They know that the pros are passionate, but we know that the casual competitive enjoyers, like, they know.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little bit different with Tempo and I, because it's like when I talk to the pros, it's a little bit different because we're not pro players. And I see a
Yeah.
lot of people coming into chats and asking us like about competitive stuff, and we're like, we don't really
Yeah.
know a lot about the pro scene, and we're not pros ourselves, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, it's just an
Yeah, I feel
odd
that.
way of like going about things, and I just definitely think that like it's something that we need to. We'll just have an entire podcast episode answering questions that people just need to know about us, and we need to clarify like we're not pros. Like,
Your
just,
position in the scene.
we're just the ones that
Yeah.
help, man. Like,
That's
don't shoot the messenger, basically, is what I
That's a
mean.
little bit what I'm talking about. Like they're not like fully educated from every angle. Like people just assume a lot of things. I don't know.
For sure.
Kind of how I see it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's people who make comments on the subreddit. They're right sometimes, and
Mhm.
sometimes pros don't agree with it, but they're still right at the end of the day. So it's like
Yeah.
Mhm.
not everyone's
And
perfect.
there's like those people who, when like the smartest type of people are the ones that can admit when they're wrong
Mhm.
and agree with someone that they don't necessarily like, in a sense, right?
For sure. There's a few of those where I'm like,
when you can admit your own mistake and agree that, yes, even though I don't like you personally,
yeah,
your POV on this topic is 100% true. And
sure.
what I said originally was 100% wrong. Well, obviously not 100%.
Yeah,
but it
exactly.
was wrong in a sense, right? Kind of
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
there's not as many of those types of people because a lot of people just don't like to admit it in general.
Yeah.
I think that's how some people might see Zach. Zach seems like the type of person who will never admit when he's wrong. But he's actually like really easily coachable and super easy to work with.
That's good.
He's super receptive of feedback, which I was low key surprised myself when I first joined the team.
Mm-hmm.
He's very he's really like a good person to team with and talk about what situations. And he's not afraid to tell you like, oh no, that's dumb. Like and he'll tell you his side as well. So kind of cool to work with him.
Yeah.
Same with all my teammates with Alba and Nadia as well.
That's awesome. And that actually leads me into, I'll say it's our final question. What's your biggest pet peeve with those guys? That's something that you definitely have been asked, I'm sure, a lot.
Let's see.
Zach sees my texts and doesn't reply, and I know it.
Pet peeve. I'm not sure. As a whole or like each person individually?
Each person individually, I think, is what they're trying to get at here.
Let's see. I want Alb to have more faith in himself. Like Alb is insane and he can be very confident, but I feel like sometimes he I don't know if that's completely correct or not, but I feel like his mentality, like he
he doubts himself a little bit, maybe.
I don't know. It's like I don't know if it's like doubt, but sometimes he just needs to
with his gut.
just be alpha. Just be alpha as fuck.
Just
Big dick.
go with your gut, and it's gonna work.
And when and I'm not saying he's not, but like when the situations where he is, he's so dominant. Like it's just like
For
so
sure.
good. Like his gameplay is fire. Like he just feels so confident, alpha, and like good about himself and everything.
Mhm.
That's just like mentality wise.
Yeah.
Zach, I think.
I feel like we've picked on Zach a lot this entire
I don't know.
episode, but
I mean, it's hard to say because like Zach knows when to admit when he's wrong. Sometimes it just takes a little bit too long to get him to that spot. Sometimes he's very loud and assertive.
Yep.
But he does listen at the same time. So I don't know. It's just like it's hard to say. And then Naughty, sometimes, dude, Naughty is a fucking demon when he's passionate. But
Yep.
sometimes I feel like he loses his passion a little bit. So sometimes I just want to kick him in the dick and be like, listen, where's that passion? Come on.
You feel anything now?
Yeah, but when he's passionate, when Naughty's pissed off, you don't want to be fighting him in the range. He'll 3-tap you with the wingman if he's pissed
Oh
off.
my
But like,
gosh.
yeah, I don't know. It's a very
He's nuts with that weapon.
Our roster is a very like energetic, explosive, out there personality wise roster, and it's a fun team to play with. And
That's awesome.
I think
For
we're
sure.
easily one of the top teams in the scene. Yeah,
Definitely.
I have hella faith with my team. So
That's awesome. And I mean, if you're the coach, you should be for sure.
Yep.
Definitely. But I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Thank you for coming on PvP and being our little scapegoat guest, the first one.
Fire.
I definitely hope you enjoyed the questions that we asked. I think they were definitely something, there was some good insight put in by all of us, I guess, I think. And
yeah, it's fun. I love doing these podcasts. I did a lot of them for Overwatch when I used to do content stuff over there, and I haven't done too many for Apex. So I'm happy that you guys are starting one because there hasn't been a lot of these.
Yeah, it's definitely a niche that I think that we definitely are going to fill, and it's something that hasn't really, other than the Apex Uncut podcast that Zach was doing. This is the only other one, and I hope that we can kind of ride the hype and the momentum, and I hope it does well. But
and when you guys post it, I'm sure you'll be posting it on the subreddit. I'll go through all the comments and answer more questions if people have that.
Awesome.
Or you can find out my socials.
Yeah, for sure.
PVPx on Twitch and YouTube. My Twitter is at PVPx_, because some dude 15 years ago took my at and used Twitter.
For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys
you're on C9. You can if that person's Twitter is inactive, you can get it.
I've tried, dude. It's really hard to get 4-letter names.
Wait. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah,
it's
you're
so
right.
hard. It's like a thing.
The 4-letter ones. Twitter really doesn't like to give you those.
Yeah. No, but definitely thank you for coming on. Thank you for everybody that's watching this or listening to this, because it will be going on Spotify as well. And I think Apple Podcasts is my idea. So thank you guys for sticking with us till the end. And we will be back with another special guest next week, maybe. Maybe it will be just Minus and I. But thank you guys for watching, and we will see you
get someone.
for sure next time. Peace, guys.